Afternoon stream, let's get it. Neon on the mic, yeah. Neon stepping in, yeah. Session wide awake. Night shift laid the ground. Word. Matt set the play. Now it's midday money. Nah. Structure on the screen. Neon seeds acting holy, price moving clean. No FOMO type in the channel mode. We learned that lesson back in 24. Half gap buys when the market dips. DD bands bounce and we let it rip. Bulls on flashing like a warning light. If it's not a line, we let it slide. Patience, heavy discipline, sharp. Room full of killers, but we play it smart. When the clock strikes noon, liquidity rise and feel that boom. Calm hands on the play, red to green, we pivot that way. The room shows up. Yeah, the room shows up. Yeah, yeah. Volume builder, feel that shift. Market makers tryna midday drift. Fake break high, yeah, we seen that move. Liquidity pocket, we approve. Whoosh fan blowing when the entry's tight. Stops place clean, risk held right. Not gambling candles, we stacking skill. Consistency over chasing thrill. Chat moving steady, no chaos here. Green heart emojis when setup's clear. If we win together, we lose composed. Trust the system, the blueprints close. Yeah, yeah. The room shows up. Yeah. The room shows up when the clock strikes noon. Liquidity rise and feel that boom. The room shows up. The room shows up. Calm hands on the play, red and green, we pivot that way. The room shows up. The room shows up. The room shows up. The room shows up. Silence when the setup phones. Heartbeat with the market stones. One clean entry, breathe, don't rush. Midday pressure, but the room shows up.
What's up, fam? What's up? What's up? What is going down? We're here, baby. We're here. If you've been here before, you know what to stamp in chat. If you're new here, let me know where you're tuning in from. It's the Neon Cucumber Show. We're about to get it started, baby. What's up, fam? What is up? Welcome to the greenhouse. Let's get it. Boosted Dime. Brad Petty from Austin. Adventure Rigs in the house.
Showing up.
Showing up. Showing up. What's up, fam? Boosted Dime tuning in from the sticks. All right. All right, all right. Good to be here, people. Jose, what's up? Frazer. Sim Show. GT6408. Moreno. Zurich, Switzerland. Nice. Josh, you like that? What's up, Jesus? Devin. Mike H. Can't say that name. What's up? Welcome, people. Welcome, welcome. We got a cool, pretty smooth show today. Few things to go over, and then I got some questions I want to ask the audience. AKA 47MP. What up? What up? Welcome to the house. Welcome. Arizona. Arizona. It's getting nice out here on the West Coast. I'm in Vegas. Nice and warm today. Yeah, Zash, you like that intro? Lord Wood. What's good, fam? All right, guys. So today, let's go lights on in 2 minutes. We'll go lights on in 2 minutes. Today, we're going to be going over why clean levels don't always make it an A+ session. Right? Clean levels don't always make it an A+ session. Why lack of liquidity makes it hard to manage risk. And I have a level from the chart this morning that I can kind of go over how it's difficult, a little bit difficult to manage risk. And then how identifying a liquid zone in an illiquid session helped me today. Right? So we're going to go over that. Oh, looks like I spelled session wrong in the A+. That's all right. So we're, let's get started here. 10 a.m. was clean, Leo says. Brad lived in Henderson, went to UNLV. Nice. All right. So this morning, first, let me just pull up my, pull up my Twitter. I've officially made it to 50 followers. It's exciting. So let's pull up the Twitter account. Let's see here. Twitter. Brave browser. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's scroll down to before the session. Okay. So I said NASDAQ seems eerily sticky down here, 24,500. No bias for the open going into the session. Gonna let the session settle in, settle in for a few minutes. Short bias, but over for the overall session as of now. And then, I had a target in mind if we really started to sell off 24,250. Could get tagged if the market feels heavy an hour in. It felt heavy, but we didn't get down to that level. But I still think we might visit that level in the next couple of sessions. And then let's scroll up a little bit here. So I just posted the seeds levels. I posted the seeds levels this morning. And then just, I kind of paused my session. So I said, caught a nice short. Let me see what time this was. 9:43 a.m. So 10, 15 minutes into the open, I had taken one trade. Caught a nice short, but it was not a liquid open, right? That's the most important part of this message that I posted. I didn't feel it was a liquid open. It wasn't a liquid open. It was whippy. Still seeing a nice setups form, but the lack of liquidity at this moment makes it hard to manage risk. And that's really what a lot of today's kind of talk is about. Hard to manage risk when there's no liquidity. Gonna pause for 30 minutes and see if liquidity shows up. Unsafe conditions for my edge here. And then as we came down to a level, this was this was at, let me say, 10:22 a.m. My velocity meter showed liquidity and stability suddenly came in as we moved into lows. Caught a nice trade. So I took a short near the lows, caught a nice trade and doubled the day. So those are the Twitter messages, kind of just giving a little overview of the morning session. And let's go to the chart and explain why I was kind of whippy and how I kind of navigated the open, and then how I was able to identify liquidity coming back into the market, and how I was able to catch a decent trade to double the wins on the session. Scrolling back in the top right corner of the screen here. Now it was a little, I was trading with light size. The reason is we were below DD band on Rocket Scooter, and that's just a recipe for an illiquid, typically a recipe for a volatile or illiquid, unpredictable session. Guys, smash that like button. Smash that like button. All right, let's go lights on in 3, 2, 1. We're lights on, baby. We're lights on. I will say this, I'm really happy how I've been performing in these conditions, because these are difficult conditions. I've been doing pretty good on pivoting on direction, because I talked about it last week, how that's uncomfortable to pivot on direction within the session. I didn't have to pivot on direction in the session today, but I did have to ease off once I got that second trade, because the setup looked more to the long side, but I didn't want to take a long all the way down at the bottom of the range. So let's go to the open here. So I became a little bit long biased going into the open after that tweet, because we were just high basing up here under this decision block. Okay, neon seeds, the shaded regions are decision blocks, the gray regions are stable blocks, and the black lines are high volume point of controls from previous sessions if they're clustered together. Okay, so I use this in conjunction with Rocket Scooter. Oh, we're reclaiming DD band here. Hold on, let me just stand by. Let me just see what's going on with this chart here. Okay, we're not super liquid up here, so it could be a little sketch up here, so I'm just going to leave that alone for now. All right, let me get back to what I was going over. So in the open, I started to think, okay, definitely not a short at the open, because we were high basing there, and I'm thinking we're going to move through this decision block, which we did. Now, the first area that I was interested in a possible short was at this region. And we didn't quite get there, right? We didn't quite get there. And then not long later, right? I did get that short entry, and I was using a tight stop. I used a 27-point stop over the backside of this level. I almost got stopped out. But I believe I was only in maybe 1 or 2 micros for that. I was sized down on these prop accounts for that because just, you know, we're below DD band, and it's risky, right? Typically shorting below DD band, very risky. But my thesis behind wanting to take that was we had this decision block here, and we got this large stable block down here, including this high volume point of control from a previous session. And just in my mind, I was thinking, to me, it would make sense if we would navigate down here, right? So this was the area that I was looking for the market to move through, and not to hold that trade the whole time, right? Because I took it off within this region, but took a small trade there. And then right, clean levels don't always make it an A+ session, right? Because if it was, you could see on the chart, the levels were pretty clean. There wasn't a lot of clustered decision blocks altogether. And even when we, even on Rocket Scooter, we had weekly hedge pressure, but there wasn't a whole bunch of bull zones and bear zones all clustered together. It was pretty clean. But the main reason for being careful was we're below DD band, so you can expect some erratic action, right? Catalyst is active. And also, just watching the tape, it was just an illiquid and whippy open, right? So I was trading it with small size, but still trading it. And then why a lack of liquidity makes it hard to manage risk, right? Because when there's a lack of liquidity, what happens is, like, when you enter a trade, a lot of the times it's very easy for that trade to navigate against you extremely quickly. Now, it could be in your favor as well, but it's very easy for it to navigate very quickly without, like, a cross price distance. And it's easy for it to do that without actually having anyone there, right? Very hollow action. So hollow whippy action makes it really difficult to manage risk. So when I got this, and I think I probably took a small entry somewhere in here as well, because I was kind of trying to scalp into the entry. But the main thing I observed in trading that sequence was that it was illiquid. So that's why I put out that tweet, and I said, let me just bring it up again. Twitter, Brave. That's why I put out the tweet and said that, let me go back here. Caught a nice short, but this was not a liquid open, right? Moments like it makes it hard to manage risk. Go into pause for 30 minutes and see if liquidity shows up. It's unsafe conditions. My edge is not, for my edge. So what then happened is that liquidity did show up, right? Liquidity did show up, and it just showed up. It showed up for a brief amount of time, but I was confident taking a trade when it showed up. So I'm just going to scroll forward here, and you may look at this and you say, wow, like that was a really risky entry. You may look at this and you would say, wow, extremely risky entry. But this is where understanding liquidity and where it feels like the market wants to navigate to can really help, right? So I've said it before, and just to preface this, so I say that I take a market maker mindset to the market, right? I see the market right, wrong, whatever. This is just my mindset, the way I look at the market. I look at the market as, guys, smash that like button. Smash that like button, please. I look at the market as a game being played, and you could either be a host or you could be a player. If you're a player, right, you take one side of the trade. If you're a host, you have to host players taking either side of the trade, and you get to take a little piece of that transaction. But the catch is, if you're a host, right, aka market maker, if there's someone missing from one of the seats, you have to take the other side of the trade, right? And then you have to get into hedging, and right, they don't want to do that. They just want to collect their VIG and host the game. So when I see all of a sudden a liquid area show up and it's been an illiquid session, I'm immediately thinking, okay, market maker mindset. I would want to transact. I would want to take the game down there and allow it to be played. right? So I can accumulate transaction fees from these players that are playing, and I don't have to participate and take the other side of the trade. It's an oversimplified way of looking at it, but it frames the way that I look at things. So if you look at my crosshair, right, in here I was observing just illiquid action, both watching the tape, watching the ticks, and also by observing price and volume velocity, right, which I can go over. If anyone has any questions on that indicator, let me know. I can go over it after this. But as we came down, it was right around 10:17, and I could pull this up on the, let me hide the agenda, and I'm going to pull this up on the volume and price velocity meters. So if you look in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, scrolling back, I believe it was 10:17 where I started to observe this liquidity. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So right now, my crosshair is on 10:17. And what you'll notice on the left side, volume velocity rather, the line goes down. That indicates volume coming into the market. Okay, that indicates volume coming into the market. But something interesting happened when volume came into the market. If you look at price velocity, right, when volume came into the market, price velocity actually slowed down. So all of a sudden we get into a place where there's lots of players, and all of a sudden the price, which was whipping around, it becomes more controlled, right? It becomes more controlled. So this was at 10:17. I observed it because I was watching the ticks, and I observed it on volume and price velocity. I usually don't watch volume and price velocity that granularly, but when I'm watching price on the chart and all of a sudden I see it slow down when we've had a whippy session, I'll glance over and I immediately saw, whoa, volume just came into the market and price just slowed down. So the market all of a sudden stabilized. And let me just move my mouse to the crosshair at 10:17. So the market all of a sudden stabilized right here as we got to the lows. And I'm thinking, okay, wow, like we're stabilizing as we're coming into the lows. We've got this previous volume pivot from clustered point of controls from previous sessions. And then we've got a decision block all the way down here. So if you don't have a good pulse on liquidity, just looking at the chart, you would think this is a really risky entry. You're shorting the lows, right? But because I'm comfortable with reading the liquidity, I felt high 60s. My conviction, I have a mental scale of conviction on trades. It was high 60s. It wasn't in the 70s, but I was more than 65% confident that I was going to get some follow through. So I shorted right at this area right here. And then I scaled out through this move. So that allowed me to double the session's profits. So I'll show you the P&L, the little trade of 8 screenshot thing from before I took that trade and then after, just to see how being able to read that action, you know, it managed to double my day. So let me see here. Okay. This is earlier in the day. So this was just before this liquidity showed up. So, you know, trying to scalp that short entry, clocked in at 71.4% accuracy. So I was totally happy with the morning. And that's why I tweeted, say, you know, gonna let it sit for 30 minutes, see if liquidity shows up. But I had an idea of what I was looking for. And then, right, you can see here, I had stopped at 941, right? Max run up to 941. And then the max run up ends at 1021, right? So after I took that second trade, and you could see that the accuracy bumped up a little bit, right? Because it was just one trade, it was a win, and it was already 72 for the session. And I was practicing with the copy trader today, so I was able to take it in all 3 of these accounts that you see. So it was a nice setup. It was a setup that required an understanding of liquidity, but it was a setup that I was comfortable taking because watching the tape, watch the volume come in, watch the price stabilize down there. I was like, okay, the market wants to navigate down there. The market's stable down there, and there's players down there. right? So market maker mindset, just my vision of the way that I look at the chart. All right, so that's an overview. Any questions? Any questions on that? Any questions on that overview? And then I have a couple questions for the audience as well. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Oh, someone said why I don't use ARB. That's a great question. So, let me turn off Top Chat. Defaulted to top chat. I apologize, guys. There we go. All right. If you have any questions, let me know in chat on that overview. So someone asked why I don't use ARB. You know, I believe the ARB is going to be a great indicator. I believe ARB is going to be a great indicator, but I'm very particular with adding something to my game, especially like I'm really happy with my stats right now. You know, I'm clocking in all my good sessions. I'm clocking in good accuracy, managing risk well, and I'm very particular with adding something to my game because it gives me an additional thing to think about. So I will add ARB to my game once Matt's finished forward testing and he's reached his conclusions about it. Right now, it's still in kind of the, it's probably going to be good for this situation, or it's probably going to be useful for this use case. But I know Matt's forward testing it, and I'll wait for him to, you know, kind of have a boot camp class on it and come to his conclusions before I would think about integrating that into my game. So what I'm seeing now is that, you know, we've reclaimed DD band and overnight MHP on NASDAQ. We've reclaimed them both on S&P as well. Right now, what I'm seeing, in my opinion, it's a neutral chart. I'll tell you why it's neutral for me. Because my overall thesis for the session was that we were going to navigate downward, and we did. Not as far as I thought we might, but just overall, I thought, you know, it's going to be a heavy session. So for me to try to catch this DD band reclaim, I would not be able to do it with conviction. Right? I wouldn't be able to do it with conviction. You know, I had one feeler trade, which I was managed risk well on when the action was illiquid this morning, and then one solid trade where I found that pocket of liquidity that I was able to, you know, get into that second short trade after I saw liquidity come into that area at 10:17 in the session. And those matched my thesis and my feeling for the session. To me, from here, we could easily rip up 40, 50, 100 points on NASDAQ. We could easily close at the lows. You know, we could easily be at MHP by, you know, by mid power hour. Crazier things have happened. So I don't want to push my luck. And if I had a strong bias, like let's say we were consolidating at the lows all throughout lunchtime, and let's say we were consolidating at lows throughout lunchtime, and I thought we might make an attempt at that 25,250 level that I tweeted about this morning, then I'd be more interested in, you know, perhaps taking a short. But a short up here, to me, the market's showing that it's just traversing this range, and my edge is not there, right? I trade when my edge shows up. When my edge shows up, I hit it. When my edge is not there, I don't. Someone asked about this yesterday. They said, how they have problems keeping profits. And what I said was, what happens a lot of times with people is they have edge, right? They do have edge, but they're not patient enough to wait for it. So what happens is they might take 100 trades and maybe 50 of them are setups in situations where they have edge, but the other 50 perhaps are situations where they have negative edge, right? Negative expected value, and they end up neutral or losing because they don't have the patience to wait for their edge to show up. So I wait for my edge to show up, right? My edge is not here right now. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the liquidity. Let's take a look at the stability of the price up here right now. Okay. So I can immediately see by looking at my velocity meters that we're a little illiquid up here, right? We're a little illiquid up here. Price is kind of still able to move around. It's taking about 16 seconds for NASDAQ to cover 5 points in price distance, but the volume has slowed down, right? So we're up here, but it's not heavy participation, and participation is not linked to price movement. So harder to manage risk, right? Harder to manage risk. Daily Trader's asking, what does HD stand for? HG stands for half gap. HG stands for half gap. And right now, we're at this half gap level, and HG is half gap. That's the midpoint between the close, yesterday's close, and today's open. And there's actually an auxiliary indicator that goes with half gap, and it's called resilience. You can see it in two places. You could see it, I'll move my mouse here. You could see it in the bottom below NASDAQ. It's a lower indicator. When it's above 0, it indicates that underlying stocks in the index are moving to close their gap to the upside, to the upside. And when it's below 0, it indicates that underlying stocks are moving to close their gap downward. And the math behind it, essentially, let's say a stock is at half gap, right? Because it's weighted based on that stock in the index. But what it does is, mathematically, if the stock's at the midpoint and then it's above the midpoint, when it's above the midpoint, the calculation for this resilience, right, assumes that it's going to close that gap. So it's a gap fill predictor. And if stocks are below the halfway point, mathematically, it assumes that they're gonna move downward to the other side of the gap, right? So it's a tiebreaker, and that's what it's doing. It's monitoring in real time all of the underlying stocks in that index. It's really good. I use it a lot at the open. But you can use it later in the session as well. Like right now, statistically, you would say, well, the underlying stocks are moving to close their gap, right? NASDAQ resilience in the top left, it's positive. It's at 53, right? But S&P resilience is negative. So you're getting kind of mixed signals all over the place. Guys, smash that like button. Adam DAZ, what's up, brother? Good to have you here. Good to have you. The room shows up. Thanks, brother. The room does show up. Guys, smash that like button. Smash the like button. Let's get that number up. Let's get that number up. All right, let's see where we're at here. Listen, clocking in above 70% accuracy on a whippy morning, a morning where we went from illiquid to a liquid area, directional bias is difficult. Like I couldn't be more thrilled with the session so far. Because honestly, today's a day with the whippy action. Even if you're taking good setups, today's the day I just know is the kind of day where it could have easily been like a max loss red day, because it's hard to manage risk in this environment. And guys, thank you for hitting the like button. We're gonna give away a boot camp today. I got one more boot camp to give away. Let's talk about one thing that was on the agenda. I just want to retouch on was why it's difficult to manage risk when liquidity is lower. I'm gonna go back, top right corner. Top right corner, top right corner, top right corner. And okay, here we go. So I'm just going to compress this a little bit. So to me, like the stopping, like kind of the stopping point of the market today when we started driving to the short side, it wasn't really all the way up here at 25 650. right? It was just easy for the market to overshoot up to there because there wasn't a lot of liquidity. Where the market really settled down was at this 25,550 area, right? So to me, all these pops, these were due to just a lack of liquidity, right? The real action, the real pivot was here, right? The real pivot was here. So all those overshoots we had earlier in the session, that was just because we had a total lack of liquidity, and it was easy for the market to go there because there wasn't a lot of players there. So it was easy for it to get up there and whip around. So that makes it very difficult to manage risk because the market can move against you really fast, right? Even if you see in my execution, like you'll see there's quite a few, there's quite a few like little mini trades in there, right? Because I was putting feelers out, trying to feel out where it was a safe turning point. So I'm like, is this the turning point? Is this the turning point, right? So putting out little feelers and then taking them off. So if I just put on one single trade and just held it, knowing liquidity was really light, it would have moved 60 points against. Let me see what the distance is here. If I was getting short, let's say in here, and then I held it all the way up to here, 75, 80 points, I didn't want to be scaling in with that much distance between the entries on a session like today, because I could just tell it was low liquidity. I was trying to catch a specific pivot, with a tighter stop. And now there was a cost to that, right? I had some little cuts trying to find that entry. But, overall, I mean, I'm happy. I mean, I'm thrilled with how I performed this morning, so no complaints. Okay. Rod Trades. What's up? THX is saying gap fill, gap fill, gap fill. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. See, resilience on NASDAQ positive, resilience on S&P negative. Let's zoom out here and see what other levels we have overhead. See if I can scroll down this a little bit. No. Yeah, market's just, it's a little hollow here. A little hollow here for me. The scary thing for me is that the market really seemed quite healthy down here at I'm going to move this to a 5,000 tick chart on seeds. The market seemed really healthy down here at the 24,400 area. It seemed really healthy. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we get down there, stick, and then we have another down day tomorrow. The market just, it almost seemed like it navigated down there, did a little bit of discovery, and then left that zone. But it's almost like, I feel like the game is not done down there, right? My opinion, the game is not done down there. So I have a slight short bias, right? I've said this before. I like to be fluid session to session, but I think, to me, 24,200 on NASDAQ, to me, that's the market. And I just feel like the market wants to get there. It just seemed really liquid and healthy down here at 24,400. When it's that healthy at the lows and then it doesn't stay there, I just feel it wants to get back there. Guys, smash the like button. We got 300 people watching. We only got 120 likes. Smash the like button. All right, let's do a giveaway. Let's give away a boot camp. I got one more boot camp to give away. Is anyone new here? Let me explain what the boot camp is. If you're new here, type me in chat. If you're new here, type me in chat. Now let me see them stock swing. Farina, definitely not new. Farina's an OG. Okay, we have some new people in chat. Well, first of all, welcome to the family. What I'm going to do, we're going to give away a boot camp. But before I do, I want to just, for the new people here, I want to give a quick overview of what's on the left side of the screen. Okay? I want to give an overview of what's on the left side of the screen because it directly ties into what we're giving away. Matoski's in the house. Matoski's in the house. Okay. So Matt, aka Matoski, aka Matt, he's the creator of this channel and the inventor of Rocket Scooter, the platform on the left-hand side of the screen. So what is this platform on the left-hand side of the screen? Because it ties into the boot camp. So this platform, it's called Rocket Scooter. And not only is it a platform, but it also has a strategy that goes with it, a very complete strategy. So simple version of what this platform is, it draws high volume, responsive tradable pivots. It draws them at the beginning of the session. They're mathematically derived from options data. And also there's a couple of other formulas, but mainly options data. And they tend to be, they're forward looking, right? They're predictive. They don't look at past data. They're predictive pivots. And in addition to the main dashboard that you see, the main chart, it also has auxiliary indicators, like the indicator at the bottom called resilience. And these auxiliary indicators, there's a few of them, but what they essentially help you do is frame the session and understand, are certain levels going to be support or are they going to be resistance? And there's statistical edge with those auxiliary indicators, right? So that's the platform. And then the boot camp ties into it because it's a platform, but it also has a full-blown strategy that assists people in how to actually trade these levels. And Matt, our founder, he teaches that boot camp. So it's a 20-day boot camp. It goes over general market information, and then it also goes over Rocket Scooter specific strategy. So it's a tremendous platform. And if you already have a system that you like, you can enhance your system with it. Because I had been trading a specific way for many years before I stumbled upon Rocket Scooter, and I used it to enhance my original system. And I have noticed several percentage increase in my accuracy since I adopted that platform, right? Maybe up to 5%. It'll take a few years for me to know for sure and confidently say, but I know it's several percent. I can already tell. And I've been using it since last summer. Okay, so we're going to give away one of those boot camps. So I want you to type boot camp in chat. Type boot camp in chat. Let me just close this Twitter and I'll bring up the little boot camp engine. We're doing a giveaway. Giveaway time. I love the giveaways. Guys, smash the like button when you're, if you're entering into the giveaway, smash that like button. We're only at 140. We gotta get that number up. Come on. Come on. We can do better. All right. If you already typed it, you may have to type it again. I'm just resetting here. Boot camp. Start capturing. All right. The giveaway machine is running. All right. So go ahead and type boot camp in chat. We're giving away a boot camp. If it's your first time here, welcome to the family. Thank you for showing up. And then I got a couple of questions for chat today. Curious about a couple of things for you guys. Type boot camp in chat. We're doing a giveaway. Mutant, you really need this bootcamp? Lost your account today? Listen, you landed in the right place. If you're looking to increase your edge and work on your game, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. All right, here we go. 50 seconds. 50 seconds. THX, yeah, I believe you can do it again. THX is asking if you can take the bootcamp twice. Yeah, no reason not to. Go for it. Bootcamp's great. Take it twice. Take it 3 times. Take it every time. When you're a subscriber to Rocket Scooter, the platform, you always have access to it. And a lot of people just join it. You know, the more times you hear it, the more it can help. "13 seconds, 12 seconds. Guys, hit that like button. The more likes we get, the more giveaways we can do. Bird Dog, what's up, brother? T-Hide. German Vlogs. Trading the Odds. That's a good name. I like that name, Trading the Odds. Trading. We got some cool names. Brian, Limbs, Trading the Odds. That vibes with me because I like to trade the odds. All right, here we go. Giveaway in 3, 2, 1. Spin it. Spin it. Let's go. Burhan, type something in chat. You're a winner. Use a winner. Type something in chat. Burhan, congratulations. Use a winner. Here's what you're gonna do. Let me take a little screenshot, make sure I remember that name. All right. You're going to click the link in the description, go to the Discord, go to the contest channel, message the admin name Slacks, and he will hook you up. Congratulations, you won the boot camp. Nice. That's cool. Ethan said it's a booty camp. Woo, woo. Nice. All right. I want to ask you, I have some questions for you guys. Okay. So I have some questions. I'm going to launch a poll here. Give me a second to type it in. I really want, because I have some questions for the audience. I would love if you guys would just respond to these polls, because it'll be fun for us to all kind of figure out what what each other's thinking on certain things. So the first is going to be, what felt hardest the last 2 sessions? Okay. And I'm going to give the responses. The responses are direction, liquidity, or lack thereof, follow through, or your own execution. Okay, I'm going to start the poll here. All right. And of course, like, choose the one that jumps out most to you, because you might have, multiple might apply. But what felt hardest the last 2 sessions? What felt hardest the last 2 sessions? Direction, liquidity or lack thereof, follow through, or your own execution? I've got a few questions for you guys, because I'm really, who do I got to text on the Discord? Burhan, you got to text Slacks. S-L-A-C-K-S, Slacks. He's the admin. He's our admin. Slacks. @Slacks. Okay. Okay, these responses are actually really interesting. I'm glad I asked this question. We've already got 33 votes in. Guys, hit the like button first of all. Smash the like button and participate in the poll. Hit the like button and then hit something in the poll. Okay, this is actually really interesting. Direction, liquidity, or lack thereof, follow through, or your own execution. Let me just make sure the giveaway engine's hidden. Yeah. Okay. Still got a lot of votes coming in. We're at 45 votes so far. Let's get it to 50. So five more people, throw in your vote. 50 is a decent sample size. Wow, the numbers are shifting. The numbers are shifting. Okay. And I'll have to rerun this poll on a really clean week just to see. All right, ending the poll. All right, everyone, let's take a look at our results here. So we asked each other, right? We asked our community, what felt hardest about the last 2 sessions? Was it your own execution, follow through, direction, or liquidity lack thereof? Most people said their own execution. Most people said their own execution, right? So I'm guessing people getting chopped up because of the lack of, all of a sudden, lack of direction, like even more so. We've had even more so of a lack of direction. Just difficult to execute environment. So it makes sense that people are saying their own execution, right? Because in an environment like this, you got to pick direction and you've got to pick the right pivot. And then you've got to execute correctly around it. So probably a lot of people getting chopped up, sounds like. Max, yeah, just overall, anything people are trading. Max asking if it's just NQ or something else, right? Because I've been exercising, 1 to 3 ideas per session, not hitting every pivot, just because that confidence is not there right now. And like this morning, if I hit every pivot with those 27-point stops, I probably could have had a banger morning, but it's just the lack of liquidity. I think it was just kind of a little bit of luck that that it was somewhat clean action around the pivots that I had this morning. So that's interesting. Mostly people are basically saying that it was avoidable. It was their own mistakes. Let's see what other questions I wrote down to ask everyone. Let me see. Let me see here. Oh, you know what? This is an interesting one, because this has helped me a lot not get destroyed on days without liquidity, because I'm just going to ask this one and you guys could just shout it out in chat. I don't have to do a poll for this one. So do you adjust size based on your perceived level of liquidity? So what I mean by that is sometimes the market is whippy, right? It whips around. It just doesn't move and flow smoothly. It's very whippy. You get sudden whips of price. So that's an indication that there's low liquidity. Now, if it's not something you look out for, maybe you can look out for it, because I look out for it because I lower my risk when we're in that environment. And like even today, the risk on both of my trades was different for each trade, because the first one was illiquid. The second one felt liquid. So do you adjust size based on liquidity? Do you adjust size based on liquidity? That's the question. So if you do or don't, put it in chat. Do you adjust size based on liquidity? Adventure Rig says yes. THX says yes. I am the liquidity says not as much as you should. Okay. Waste fasting, water fasting results. Yeah, it's because of illiquidity is lack of participation. Yeah. Lack of players. Lack of players. Quinn says yes. Quinn says yes. Okay. Right. And this is actually something that Jay Shadow says no. Nope. Says nope. Leo has three sizes for each type of market. So this is actually something where the boot camp that Matt teaches can come in handy. Okay. And remember I talked about earlier, some of it is very rocket scooter specific stuff, but some of it is just general market stuff. So one of the things that is general market stuff that he teaches in that bootcamp is the VIX class, because the way that Matt teaches people how to read the VIX, it gives you a forward-looking idea of what's going on with liquidity without you having to have as much screen time and being able to identify it without looking at something else. Like if you look at the VIX after watching Matt's VIX bootcamp class, you would have an idea of what's going on in liquidity. You wouldn't have to watch the chart, tape read, have thousands of hours of screen time. It simplifies the analysis of liquidity, right? There's still an edge to being able to identify and read liquidity on a more micro scale, right? It can help your edge, so screen time is good, but it gives you a huge head start, right? It's almost like you'll have that foundation, and then through screen time, if you don't already have enough screen time to realize it changing in real time, the two will go together, right? So you don't have to log thousands of hours to be able to identify it. You could take that VIX class and you would already have a huge edge on understanding what's going on with market liquidity. Oh, okay. I got one that I've got to launch a poll for this other one because I'm really curious. Let me just type it up here. Okay. Well, I'm going to read it out after I type it. I'm really curious what chat thinks about this. Okay, here we go. I'm actually really curious because every trader has their own sort of way that they like to trade their session and has different time frequency of their edge showing up within a session. So here's the question. I don't know if I spelled all the answers right. I think so. Would you rather, please answer this one. I'm super curious. I know everyone's curious about this one. Would you rather one clean, this is like per session. Would you rather one clean setup, like you see one clean setup and you just size up? Would you rather have 3 setups and kind of spread it out a bit? Or would you rather have lots of trades throughout the session and you kind of take small size on each of them and hopefully the stats realize themselves and you have edge that many times in the session? Irina says 1 setup. Brad says 1 setup. THX says 1 setup. Burhan says spread it out because of the prop accounts. Fair. C. Kennedy, probably a very good point made there. Thinks everyone overtrades and that's why they're not profitable. People overtrade a lot. People overtrade a lot. Karina, multiple accounts for rotating. Guys, hit the like button. We're creeping up to 200. We appreciate it. Hit that like button. Get Touch said, we do not overtrade, but 1 setup is putting all eggs in one basket. Some people would see it like that, right? Because it takes longer for your edge to... If you're only taking 1 setup a day, maybe, in a week you only take 5. So it can be frustrating. You'll have more red days, I guess, if your stats aren't realizing themselves, right? Because the sample size per week is smaller. THX take one trade in each prop. How many props do you, how many prop accounts? I am the liquidity. I'm sure you're not alone. I am liquidity said one clean setup. Unfortunately, you struggle with realizing when the clean setup is presenting itself. So you're scared of being manipulated by this market even when presented with A+. You feel like you're getting tricked. Screen time, brother. Screen time. 5 years from now, you'll have a lot better pulse on that. 1 year from now, you'll be better pulse on it. 2 years, 3, it'll just get better and better and better. Because you'll have more stats. Right, so you'll be more confident in your edge. All right, let's end it there. You know, I was thinking we would probably get a balance between 3 setups and 1 setup. But actually, 45% of you said 1 setup. I thought it might lean towards more towards 3. I thought it might lean more towards 3. So 1 clean setup and size up. That's interesting. That's interesting. So that's kind of like intra-session swing trading, right? So not really putting feelers out there. Spencer, who's actually taking 1 trade a day? I mean, I only had 2 real trade ideas I expressed today. So, I mean, I guess that's double, but SH May whatever 6417. So if you lose, you're just done for the day. Honestly, a lot of people who struggle from over trading go through an exercise where they take 1 trade a day, maybe for a month or 2 months, and it can really help people. Right? It can really help people. People who struggle from over trading, if they just take 1 trade a day, a lot of times it helps them. C. Kennedy said, you wanted to thank me for when I said there's only 250 days to trade a year. So over 4 years, you only have 1,000 sessions, even in the market. Yeah. It's honestly, that's one of the most difficult parts of learning to trade is there's only 250 sessions. So 4 years, yeah, you've only got 1,000 sessions under your belt. But you know what? The more screen time, the better, the better it gets, the more confident you'll be. And the more environments you will have seen. Like there's lots of people who got toasted because they learned how to trade in 2020. And then in 2023, was it 2022 or 2023 when things got a little difficult? I think it was 23. But 22 or 23, people who learned in 2020, they got smoked. A lot of them. Because they learned in wrong conditions. And they thought that was the norm. Leo said, even if you're 50% profitable in a 1 to 2 trade, you'll be profitable in the long run. Yeah, everyone's stats are different. I find because I put out feelers sometimes, it drives up my accuracy, but it drives down my risk reward. Like usually my average winner is a little smaller, or sometimes half the size of my average. It just depends. Because I don't trade with an exact target. I don't trade with an exact target. Right, if you have intuition, it can help you there. So I use my intuition sometimes. Let's see what you guys are saying. C. Kennedy, you just started last summer. Last summer, it was hard for you to see a setup. Leo Energy, you trail your stop to 1 to 1. I mean, you trail your stop to break even. Yeah. The only problem is sometimes at break even, there's a lot of, depending on your entry style, a lot of times people who move their stops to break even, you know, their entry ends up being a really attractive place for price to retract to. So that can hurt win rate a lot because you end up with a lot of break-even trades. But everyone's different, you know, because everyone just gets in a little bit of a different spot based on their style. And, you know, sometimes the move into break-even works for people. I'm usually taking, because the way I trade, I'm usually taking profit on the first initial drive off my entry. So, like where a lot of people will be moving to break even, I'm just scaling out some of the position. Devin, you one of those people? Devin McGrath, have you been... Do you trade with Rocket Scooter? Do you trade with Rocket Scooter, Devin? Because I think you'd find that would kind of help that would help that situation. A lot more decisive decisions you can make around a platform like this. Devin, when you can afford it. Well, you know what? Listen, I mean, at least you get to preview it on the stream, and definitely take the boot camp. The boot camp's only $20. So as a starter, if you haven't taken it, take that boot camp for sure. Geeky Trader wishes you could trade New York time to be able to use Rocket Scooter. You only trade evenings. Well, you know, Rocket Scooter, Matt has a model, a mathematical model. We do have overnight levels that we use to trade, right? Maybe I don't trade night session all the time, but I do pay attention to those overnight levels. They're good. So if you're a member of Rocket Scooter in the Discord, you'll also get access to the overnight levels. And Matt's working on a project where they'll be available in the main interface as well. Guys, smash the like button. Smash the like button, please. We're still under 200. Let's get that number up. Let's get that number up. Devin. Oh no, who said? Any advice? Okay, Techno. Any advice on someone who hasn't found luck with this after a few months? So I'm not sure if you mean Rocket Scooter or if you mean trading in general. Techno, do you mean Rocket Scooter or trading in general? Techno, I'm not sure what you mean. Rocket Scooter. Okay. So I'm going to open up a chart here to help. I'll open up a chart here just to kind of a talking point for this. So this is probability of consecutive losers in 1,000 trade sequence, which if you take 1 to 3 trades a day, you could just read this as, you could kind of just read this as in 1 year. So one of the things we talked about last week, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, is that every system is going to go through periods of the edge being a little bit diminished or intuition being coming into play a little bit, like when to ease off the gas with a specific strategy. But either way, variance is going to realize itself. So you said you've had struggles adopting the strategy in the last couple of months. So 2 things to keep in mind with that. The first thing to keep in mind is that the last December, January, and most of February, I would say all of February, were very difficult months to navigate. And I will say, I have a friend who started looking into trading in those months and is now watching charts. And I said to him a couple of days ago, I said, you picked the right time to come to this and start looking at charts, because you're coming to the market in a difficult time. And it's good to see what the market does in times like this, right? Because if you just came to the market and it's just rallying, you might it might be more difficult for you when things are a little bit less easy. So, little spike candle in there on NASDAQ, yeah. So it's not bad that you came to the market this time, but the point of bringing up this chart is, first of all, market conditions are difficult, and second of all, no strategy, no matter how much edge it has, will always perform exactly on line with its stats. Like, let's say there's something that works 70% of the time, right? There's going to be periods where it works 85% of the time. There's going to be periods where it works, less than 50% of the time. But over the course of time, the statistics will realize themselves. So if as you're learning the strategy or any strategy, you have 2, 3, 4 losers in a row, don't just think that what you're doing is wrong and you need to abandon it or you need to adjust it. You kind of need to do things a few times, enough times to really know whether what you're doing is working or not working, right? Because someone who clocks in a 65% accuracy, they might have 3 red sessions in a row where their accuracy is 45%. So that doesn't mean that what they're doing is not working. It just meant that either they were underperforming or variance was realizing itself. So, just keep that in mind, and then keep coming to the stream, especially the morning, the morning stream. Matt's trading with Rocket Scooter up. He's trading Rocket Scooter levels only, and he's currently doing $100K to $1 million challenge. And it's a great way to observe someone trading, the strategy exactly, and in the morning session when it's most active, right? See what else we got here. Oh, it was a Trump tweet. THX, that's some words of encouragement. He said, keep going. Took him a few months to pass just an eval, a year. Yeah, finding your edge. Miracle X. How much time did it take me to overcome my psychology? How long did it take me to overcome my psychology? So I think that just gets better and better over time. I'd say after probably 2 or 3 years, it was, because when you first start trading, you get like the shakes, because it's like when you first start trading, like the outcome of the individual trade that you're taking matters more to you. So that is a little bit more stressful. That has more chance of activating your stress response because you're placing more emphasis on the outcome of the specific action that you're doing. Whereas once you have 2 or 3 years under your belt, just in my experience, 2 things happen. Number 1, like anything, you just get more used to it, like public speaking. When people first start public speaking, if they're in a role where they public speak, when people first start doing it, they get nerves, right? Their amygdala's active, they forget things, they kind of become dumb when they're in front of a group of people speaking, and then they become used to it. The body gets used to it. So that's one thing that happens with screen time. And then the other thing that happens is you also just become more in tune with your stats. So once you develop edge, it's almost as if the outcome of an individual trade will matter to you a lot less because you don't really see the overall game as uncertain, right? When you first start trading and you don't have proven stats, the game feels very uncertain for you. But let's say you have been trading for 4 years and for the last 12 months, you've clocked in a specific, over the course of an entire year, a specific accuracy and a specific, win to loss amount, and you know your approximate drawdown to profitability ratio, right? How much you tend to draw down. So when you have a large sample set and you've been trading longer, it almost becomes, it's like you just know that things are going to be fine. So that knowing comes from screen time, having stats, and knowing that the stats, that you can continue to maintain those stats because you didn't just do it for 1 month. Maybe you did it for a whole year, it's almost like if you go to a roulette wheel and 68% of the squares, I use this analogy with my friend. If you go to a roulette wheel and 68% of the squares are red, I mean, you're just going to comfortably just keep betting on red. You're just going to comfortably do it because you just know that things are going to realize themselves and you're going to come out ahead. Not financial advice, but that's the way I view stats, where you're just comfortable. You're like, oh, 68%, there's 68% edge on this roulette wheel. I'll just keep betting red. 68% of the blocks are red. If I bet red, the next 2 spins might be black. The next 3 spins might be black. But, if I take 100 spins, probably, 60 to 70 of them will be red. If I take 1,000 spins, probably 65 to probably 66 to 68% of them will be red. It's the stats. The stats will realize themselves. Oh, I am the liquidity. Your intro to trading was extremely profitable for the first month and then gave you unrealistic expectations, and then we entered November and you lost it all. And now you realize you were simply lucky. Well, you know what? Now I wouldn't say realize you were simply lucky, just realize that you need more screen time to, kind of trying to learn to navigate when the conditions change. Right? Conditions are not always going to be the same. Yesterday versus today, conditions are way different. Last week was it started to get really healthy. And then we're right back to pockets of illiquidity, pockets of liquidity. Like today could have been easy to get chopped up. I'm sure a lot of people got chopped up today, especially in the first 30 minutes. There was some crazy whippage in the first 30 minutes. Yeah, I am liquidity. A lot of these market conditions you're seeing for the first time, you need to remind yourself that capital preservation is more important than cash gains. Yes, because let me tell you something. Like, let me give you an example of like why I was so happy with my performance in today's session. Because today's set, like a not lose on a session like today where it was really whippy at the open, it was hard to navigate. Like a not loss is a win, right? So the fact that I'm not red today, I'm just like, because I just know the way that the open was and the way that I was putting out feeler trades trying to find that short, I could have easily got smoked 3 times in a row because it was the liquidity wasn't quite there. I was waiting for it to show up. What saved me is number one, I traded with very small size today, and number two is I was patient for a higher level to have more conviction in that trade. But a not loss on a day like today is like a win. So sometimes a day like today, you just sit out. That's a win because otherwise you would have been red. And then you need a day to make back that red session and then you finally get back to where you were, right? So you don't want to dig a hole for yourself that you got to dig out of, because then it makes being profitable even harder. So Miracle, I trade the whole session, but you know, like most traders, I'm most active in the morning. That's when usually, you know, my edge shows up the most. But there's times, you know, like Friday afternoon, there was a nice setup that showed up. You know, I had a little bit of edge there. I didn't take the setup because, number one, it was the first time I had to lock in while on stream, and I just wasn't processing information well. But also I don't feel like my edge was fully there. And then yesterday was a nice trade in the afternoon, which we took. But you know, I trade the New York session, primarily the New York session. The edge shows up. Yeah, when the edge shows up. If my edge isn't there, I won't trade, because then that hurts my stats. And if I'm very proud of my stats, so I don't want to hurt them. And also the stats are what helps my psychology. Because I know mathematically, I'm like, you know, to me, trading, it's like a sure thing. So, not financial advice, but I just, you know, I got a lot of years trading the same way. So, I'm just like, so long as my stats are good, you know, just keep spinning the wheel. Just go for it. Oh, Miracle. Miracle, I love that question. Miracle asks, do I do back testing ever? And the answer to that is like not systematic back testing. Like most of the stuff I've ever built, I forward tested. But like when I was coding things, I would see how they drew on previous sessions charts, but I never mathematically like wrote a program that would fully backtest something, because a lot of my trading is discretion. So I need to forward test things so I know how I respond to them in real time. Much like Matt is forward testing the ARB indicator. Like he can program. I'm sure he could program a way that he could look at the ARB indicator under price for previous sessions, and perhaps he did, but I'm pretty sure the most information he'll gather about that ARB indicator comes from his forward testing. You know, because he'll see how it reacts in real time along with the feel of the session, where there's times where it's more useful, where there's times where it's less useful. So I was always primarily forward testing things. Forward testing. Miracle, yeah, Miracle, Miracle's asking, you know, it takes a long time to adapt edge. Okay, well, actually, my opinion on that has changed since I found Rocket Scooter. Now, I don't know this for sure because I don't have a time machine. I can't go back in time, but I would like, I really think that if someone is new to trading and they discover Rocket Scooter, it's my true belief that if they really focus on what it is, they take the boot camp, they watch Rocket Scooter and watch the session interacting with the levels, I truly believe that it's like an accelerated way to achieve possessing edge in the market, because it's such a complete system. Because part of what people struggle with developing edge is, let's say you didn't have a platform like Rocket Scooter that pre-draws the levels. A lot of people get decision fatigue. Which indicators should I have on my chart? Which indicators should I not have on my chart? You know, this person says, this is how you draw support and resistance line. This other person says support and resistance lines aren't the best and they trade, you know, trend lines. This person says, you know, this is a system where the MACD crossover is the best. And I talked about on Friday, there's a lot of false and garbage information out there, number one. And even for the good information out there, it's so hard to pick it out. So the reason I think kind of Rocket Scooter is a fast track to edge for people is because it takes all that out. You're like at the beginning of the session, it draws the pivots on the chart. You don't have to try to learn how to draw pivots. You just have to develop a forward testing, like you just have to develop a feel for sessions while watching price on Rocket Scooter. So to me, developing edge in this day and age, to me, if you stumble across the right thing, like if you're here, you've stumbled across Rocket Scooter, then it's like a fast track to edge. You still need experience to give you some intuition for the session, like when to ease off the gas and when to step on it. But even that's built into the Rocket Scooter platform if you take the boot camp. So yeah, it's like a cheat code to gaining edge. For me, you know, my edge crept up over the years. You know, maybe my accuracy increased 1 or 2% after year 3, then after year 4, then after year 5, you know, and then I kind of floated around, you know, mid 60s, high 60s, sometimes some years low 60s, or like 64, maybe 63. And a lot of that just depends on the year too, because I don't trade with like a fixed exact target. Sometimes my winners will be larger on some days, sometimes they'll be smaller. Like sometimes even on NASDAQ, you know, I get a 15-point spike, and then all of a sudden it seems really shaky and it doesn't seem like it's just going to be followed through. Sometimes I'll trim a lot of the position very early, you know, using my intuition and tape reading. And then sometimes, you know, yesterday afternoon I had a nice 50-point rip, and I caught, you know, I think I trimmed at like 37 points, 41 points, and like 45 points or 50 points. So that will have an effect on my stats a little bit. But yeah, I do know that, you know, it grew a little bit over the years every year until I kind of hit a plateau. And then the last breakthrough I had with my edge was an accuracy bump when I discovered Rocket Scooter. Miracle X. This is a good question. Now, I never knew about ICT until recently, because I know people talk about it all the time, and I guess it's like a movement or whatever. But I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't like strategies that rely on candle shapes, because from what I saw, it seems like that strategy, the ICT strategy, it's like the candle shape determines where there's liquidity or not liquidity. I think it's something like that. All I know is that the time frame if you change your time frame, the setup would change a lot. Like if you go from a 5-minute chart to a 4-minute chart to a 3-minute chart, the setup and the entry zone might be totally different. So I've never been a fan of anything that relied on that sort of, placed that much weight on the shape of the candle. Because between now and now, the shape of the candle could be completely different just during that little pause. Because maybe someone slammed 50 contracts within that 10-second window, and then all of a sudden the candle's a totally different shape. So I was never down with that candle shape stuff. Yeah, drives me crazy. Like, not ICT, I don't really know much about that, but just any candle shape stuff, it just doesn't mesh with the way I think, because it's just not logical to me. You know, like I could slam 100 contracts right now and change the shape of a candle, right? Like you could change the shape of a 1-minute candle with 100 or 200 contracts, and like in the last second of it, just slam a couple 100 contracts, it'll change. I mean, I'm not doing that, but you know, I know it's possible on a day like this where it's not that liquid. You know, the bid's going to move out of the way for a split second and let that order sink. You know, no shade to any strategy, but just never jived with me. It never jived with me because the candle shape, the hammer. Oh, it's a hammer. Well, it looks completely different on a 4-minute and 30-second chart or 4-minute chart versus a 5-minute. It just never made sense to me, ever. Now, how long did it take me to get profitable? I started to have glimpses of profitability in my second year, and then my third year is when I started to get more comfortable. I think my second year, as I was starting to find my edge, I was more just happy if I had like a break even month. I don't remember the exact timeline. I just remember that, like, my first year was very volatile. Yeah, my first year was very volatile. And interesting thing, this is a story which this is a story I have not told on stream. It's a very short story, but it was the same thing that, it might sound like a painful thing to go through, but it was the thing that made me the most excited about the market. Was when I first started trading, I didn't paper trade. I just opened a live account and started trading it, which was it's a bad idea to not at least trade a little bit paper trade just to feel out the buttons and stuff, but whatever. My first ever live trade, I lost over $5,000 in about 30 seconds. About 30 seconds, I lost 5K, and it was an eye-opening experience because I understood, okay, like, you really need to know what you're doing with this or you're going to get toasted. But also I understood, it made me realize, like, whoa, that means you can make $5,000 in 30 seconds. Because if I was on the other side of that trade, like, so it was an eye-opening experience for me. Number one, and you need to manage risk. Number two, I don't know what I'm doing. And number three, whoa, if you can lose 5K in 30 seconds, that means you can make 5K in 30 seconds. So, But yeah, to lose, that's kind of a, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like, I don't know. That's kind of a, it's cool now. Like, at the time I was like, damn, it's like, whoa. But now to look back on it and be like, yeah, my first live trade, I had an account with Lightspeed. Like, I opened an account with a direct access broker, like, I don't know what I was in over my head, but whatever. I opened an account, Lightspeed. I set up the interface. I'm pretty geeky, so I didn't have any problems with setting up the interface and stuff. But yeah, I didn't paper trade it. I slammed on a trade my first day, and I got toasted in 30 seconds. Power Hour, what's up? Guys, smash the like button. I am trade day. You made 50K in your first trade and lost it all during the crash. Well, that happens. Oh, Short King came in with a little correction about ICT. He doesn't teach candle shapes. It's fractal concept on market structure using patterns and price. So I guess there's nuance to it. Yeah, I don't really know about that strategy. I just know that, I watched a couple of videos on it just because I saw people talking about it a lot, and it just seemed like people referred to the shape. It was like the shape of two candles and the distance of the bodies to the bodies. Like, if there was two candles, you would like almost measure body to body with the wicks between them. It seemed like it just didn't, I don't know. It seemed like the candle shape made a difference. Like, if the body of the candle was a different size, it would change the setup. 24,200. I think we want to get down there. I think we might touch 24,200 this week. Miracle, nice. Oh, okay. Well, it just seems like people structure their trade around these FVGs or whatever. Nihal, that's an interesting question. Any tips on psychology like overtrading, greed, and moving stop loss? So they're two completely different things. First of all, moving the stop loss, like I'm a little bit fluid with my stop loss. But I'm not like moving it back a lot. Like when I enter the trade, if I've got an ATM strategy, like I'll move it out of the way. And then as the trade starts to settle in, I'll place it exactly at the area that I want to stop. But what people refer to as moving their stop, it's usually like as the price gets to their stop, they're like, let me just give it a bit more room. Let me give it a bit more room. Let me give it a bit more room. Let me give it a bit more room. What I prefer to do is kind of exit. And then if it reclaims that stop out area, then I'll maybe say, okay, like I'd rather trade with a little bit smaller stop and give it 2 shots than trade with one bigger stop. You know, so if someone trades with, I'll use an arbitrary number, 100. Someone trades with a stop of 100, maybe the other person trades with a stop of 50 and then lets it drop more. And then when it reclaims their stop area, you know, they get back in. But that depends on the mechanics of your strategy. And your ability to exercise control and not take the re-entry, you know, if your edge isn't there. So that's a nuanced thing. But don't take, I always like, sometimes people think getting stopped out is like a bad thing. Getting stopped out is, you know, no, you're never going to be right 100% of the time. And then, let me just see here. The second part of that question. Oh, and then trading greed. I think what gets rid of greed is just enough experience giving back gains. You know, getting too greedy and giving back gains. I think that one, unfortunately, it just comes with experience. Like on a day like today, you know, I had a decent session, but I knew conditions weren't ideal. So you know, 10 years ago, a session like today, if I had a decent morning, I would have just kept pushing it. I wouldn't have had the experience to know the nuances of good session versus bad session, you know? Like I didn't get lucky today. I navigated it well, but statistically, it was just like I don't know. I guess it's just an intuition thing. I'm like, well, you know, liquidity's coming, liquidity's going. It's a bit of an erratic session. And I was like, okay, like I exercised a couple of ideas. I did well. And, you know, I'm not going to be greedy. So that, I think that will just come with screen time. So the psychology of that will come with screen time. Let's see what else we got here. A lot of good questions today. Let's see what else we got. What about not trading your strategy in your session and just gamble? Miracle X asked. Yeah. That's just something, you know, you just got to develop self-control. Like if your edge isn't there, you know, just sit back. That's what I always say. There's going to be another session tomorrow and the next day and the next day. There'll be sessions next week. You know, a lot of people they get frustrated. They blow it all up in one day and then they don't have any bullets left in the chamber to, you know, take a shot when things are really setting up. Anytime. Miracle, anytime. Happy to help. Look, I'm so glad I didn't take a trade at this DD band reclaim. It's just rotating around it. See what the range is here. 132 points though. That ain't bad. This is a 5K chart. Was I trading during 2015? Yeah, 2014. 2014, I think was when I started. We've had a lot of varied conditions over the last, 12, 13 years. A lot of varied conditions. Like, I remember the beginning of 2018. 2017 was just, the whole year was smooth bull run, I believe, if I remember correctly. Beginning of 2018, it was a little sketch. There was somewhat of a pullback in the overall market for, I think it was like a week, a month, maybe 6 weeks. And I think the rest of 2018 was pretty smooth sailing. 2019, I think was pretty smooth. And obviously 2020, all hell broke loose. I nailed a nice short in the options at the beginning of COVID, before the drop. I got, like, I don't know. I think there was inside information. The chart was really, the daily chart was, the daily chart got heavy before things really started getting crazy. So I think, someone knew something, but it was evident on the chart. I remember taking a nice options trade in February 2020, a short trade. I remember that. And my best trade from 2020 was actually Uber. They released some sort of news. What was it? It was some news where I was like, I think the news was that they canceled group rides, or I think it was group. There was some news in Uber, and at the time I would still look at what the news was, and I just remember they canceled shared rides or something, and it was just a news where the market just the stock just overreacted, and I got in Uber. I think it was like $15, and it just had some huge rip right after. That was my best entry of 2020. That and that original short. I didn't go too crazy in 2020. I took a few options trades, and then I traded futures, and I just kept doing my thing. Matt Dabrowski said the second you try to take a range trade, the market makes a move. Happens to you all the time. Yeah, why, you thinking an up move's in store? I don't know. Honestly, to me, coin flip from this level. 312. Yeah, to me, it's a coin flip. We could see just all of a sudden a violent move, but who knows? See if there's anyone else got any other questions. There was a lot of good questions today. It's getting hot in my office. Gotta turn on the AC a little bit. Guys, hit that like button. I am Trade Day. Yeah, why not? Why not? I love you all. Is NQ and Bullzone on the monthly maps? Let's check. I usually look at monthly maps for ES only. Buy. I really don't look at it for NQ, which I know is weird, but I like to just focus on the S&P for the daily. Now we're still in bear. Bullzone looks like it's at 25,057. We're still in bear zone. Go back to the 5 minute. Oh, Jesus, man, ask a good question. How has the futures market changed since pre-COVID period? So the main thing that's changed well, first of all, the daily range is larger, right? It has more range now. So it has more range, which is cool. It lowers commissions, right? Because you need to take less size to exercise the same amount of dollar risk and same thesis. So it's kind of cool. I like that it has more range. But I would say the main thing, there's more going on. There's more range, and there's more activity. And also one overall market phenomenon, which I've observed since 2020, because a lot more gamblers, a lot more emotionally unstable participants have come to the market, is that you see a lot more panic buying episodes, right? You see panic buying, these V-shaped recoveries you see both on shorter term, weekly or daily charts, and intra-session, and on big picture charts. A lot more panic buying pops up, right? That's just a lot more FOMO in the market, which I love. It adds more participants, more liquidity. No complaints. Rockin' Viper. Is that a knee cucumber in your pocket? Or are you just happy? That's funny. Good questions today, guys. If you got any more, just type them in chat. We're just hanging out. It's power hour. Hopefully we'll have some more giveaways, more giveaway accounts tomorrow. Just waiting to get the list. Gayster. The name, I like neon, and then cucumber I think I was cooking, and I was just like, why not this? Came to the dome. Things are constantly coming in my head, and in one ear, out the other, in one cortex, out the other, whatever. But this one, I was just like, yeah, I'll grab onto that. That's cool. Hobbies, yeah, a couple of hobbies. I like to cook. I like to bake bread and pizza, and I like to also like to race RC cars. That's cool. Short King asking about win-loss streak. I don't really pay attention to win-loss streaks. I don't really pay attention to boosted dime, says Lame. I don't really pay attention to win-loss streaks. Like, I try not to focus on them too much, because I just know that they're, for the most part, variance. That conditions are ideal, conditions are not ideal. I try not to focus on them too much, because otherwise they'll get in my head. But like, I know if I'm on a win streak. Like right now, I'm on, like I've been the last 2 or 3 weeks, like my accuracy's been really good. So I'm really happy with that. My last losing streak was in January. I talked about this on Friday. I think I had 7 bad reads in a row in January. And that was when I explained to people, you know, you got to not lose your mind when you have a consecutive sequence of bad reads, because the probability of having so many bad reads in a row, regardless of your stats, if you know the numbers associated with them, will stop it from driving you crazy. But yeah, I had 6 or 7 bad reads in January consecutively over the course of, I think it was two sessions. I think it was 2 sessions, 2 or 3 sessions, where I was just wrong. Farina said 6-7. Guys, I officially have 53 followers on Twitter. Officially got 63 followers. Let's take a look at the gold chart. Let's see what's going on gold. Someone's asking about gold. I'm curious. Let's see. Let's look at GLD. I hope GLD comes up. Come on, give us GLD. There it is. Look at that. Do you love Rocket Scooter or do you love Rocket Scooter? Look at that MHP bounce. Damn. I should keep gold up and trade options. I should trade some options in gold. Look at this beautiful setup. Rocket Scooter. That's gold right there. Open. A drop right into monthly hedge pressure. Neutral MHP resilience. And then look at that rip. What a beauty. That's a sexy chart. Rocket Scooter for the win. Yeah, that's pretty. I like that. Remington says, you'll follow me on Twitter if I post gold MHP daily. It's a lot of work to remember that every day in my routine. I couldn't promise something like that. I trade day. Trey, I trade Rocket Scooter alongside my own algo, Neon Seeds. Used to just be called Seeds. Now it's Neon Seeds, since I'm here. And that's just, it identifies decision blocks. Those are the shaded regions. The gray blocks are stable blocks. And then if there's black lines, they're high volume point of controls from previous sessions if they are clustered together. And I look for a Rocket Scooter level to line up with a level on my own system. Man, that gold setup was nice. I wonder how, let's see if the silver let's see what the silver chart looks like. SLV. Yeah, you can call these fat streaks in Neon Seeds. Those are the cucumbers, the fat seeds. A nice streak of green or blue. That's a cucumber. Look at this. A little sloppy on silver. I wonder what the volume differential is between, like, I wonder how much volume there is in silver contracts compared to gold. The gold is way cleaner. C. Kenny, can I explain how to read resilience? Sure, that's a good question. Yeah, so resilience. Let's look at resilience. Okay. So, what is resilience? Resilience helps you understand whether something's going to be support or resistance, right? It's an auxiliary indicator for the upper chart. So, right now, we are at half gap. We're at the midpoint between the open and the close, right? The open's down here, half gap, the midpoint, and then the close is, the close is way up here. So what resilience does is it's a gap fill predictor. So let's say you're trading at the open, okay, around the open area. and you have a long bias. And there's, if you watch back the streams from last week, there was, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, there was a couple of sessions where I relied on resilience for my opening drive trade. So it's a gap fill predictor. So let's say you're long bias and you're trading around the open and resilience is negative. Resilience down here, it's negative, it's 0, it's negative, it's 0. That's indicating that underlying stocks are moving to close their gap, or either neutral if it's around 0, like there's no edge to this indicator, or they're moving to close the gap downward. So in that case, I would be waiting for resilience to turn positive, right? And then once resilience turns positive, what it tells me is, okay, this might be the start of the turn, because when resilience is positive, it means that more stocks, it's market cap weighted, it's more stocks, market cap weighted, are moving to close their gap upward, right? So it's a gap fill predictor. So it's predicting that the gap is going to close upward. So it's really, it's a directional tiebreaker when you're trading around the open, the close, and the midpoint between them, which we refer to as half gap. And C. Kennedy, in addition to the half gap, the gap resilience, there's also a resilience line in the bottom indicator for hedge pressure and monthly hedge pressure. And again, it will help you determine whether those lines will be support or resistance. And in that case, it's telling you whether or not stocks in the underlying are trading above or below their respective weekly and monthly hedge pressures. And the nice thing is about it is these auxiliary indicators, a few months ago, this platform also got updated. So the auxiliary indicators update this little text. Like right now, hedge pressure resilience just turned negative. So you can see HP, it says resistance. If this now goes above 0, it'll say support. Like let's go to monthly hedge pressure, right? See monthly hedge pressure, the orange line, it says support. It says support because the auxiliary indicator, monthly hedge pressure resilience, is above 0. And the hedge pressure, right, which is weekly, weekly, it says resistance because the auxiliary indicator for it, the hedge pressure resilience, is below 0. So it's really, these auxiliary indicators are really powerful to help you frame those levels, right? Not just know there's a level there, but also know a little bit of directional edge about what might happen at that level. And the reason it's displayed as an actual scale, not just a binary thing, is because like right now you could tell it's floating around 0. So it helps just for it to not just be a binary thing, but for you to be able to also visually see, you know, is it just above 0? Or is it just below 0? Or is it way above or way below? So that's why it's possible to visualize it in the platform rather than just have it be a binary thing that says support or resistance. Hopefully that helps. Spencer, take it easy, brother. Guys, hit that like button. Smash it. Silver MOB. Silver Mop. NASDAQ found a nice comfy place. You know, it just seems a little bit too stable. I don't know. I think I don't know. It might be a wild open. If you haven't tuned in to Sir Darb, aka Brad, aka Sir Darb stream at 7 p.m. Eastern, tune into that tonight. I don't know. Just a little, I don't know. I feel like it might be wild. Might be a little whippy open. I don't know. This just seems a little bit too quiet for what's going on. You know? I'll trade Asia rarely, but sometimes. But Darb, he has a show at 7 p.m. Eastern, Asia session every day, Sunday through Thursday. So definitely tune in to Darb's show. And then Matt, the inventor of Rocket Scooter and our founder, he hosts a morning show He's doing 100K to $1 million challenge, and he's about 500 or 600K right now. So he's working his way up to $1 million. C Kennedy, no, I'm not using Arb yet. No, I'm happy with my edge. I'm not trying to add anything to the mix right now. Once Matt finished forward testing it and I see his notes on it, then I'll decide. I'm super OCD with adding anything to my game. What's up, M7914 in the house? Miracle, yeah. More giveaways tomorrow. Yeah, market's kind of just paused here. But here's the thing. The market's paused here, but it's not really liquid here. Like, it's slowed down here, but like it's still kind of whipping around. It's still moving around. Like, the market's moving right now, but there's not a lot of volume going through the market. So that's why I'm like, it's not gonna, I don't think it's not happy here. It's sitting here right now, but I just don't think this is the area. I don't think it's going to stay in this area. Like, I think it's going to drive away from this area with some authority. That's just what I'm feeling. So maybe in the overnight session, like, we might just have a big down move, because to me it just seemed, again, I try to move fluid session to session and not try to think too far out, but like, if I had to place a bet, I don't know. There's no, I mean, there's just as much of a case for it to rally up for another day before we see lows. No, there's no edge in making a directional bias call on the day, I have a feeling, but I can't assign a probability to it in my head. So if that's the case, I just know I know I can't. I'm confused. Like, sometimes I'll say, 55%, almost no edge, but I have an inkling. Right now, 50-50. Can gold go up or down in the morning? That's a tough call. That's a tough call. It had a nice bounce today off MHP. I don't know where it is in its daily range. Let's take a look. Let's take a look where it is in its daily range. Oh, hourly. Don't want to look at that. Yuck. All right, here we go. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get a read on that. I tend to just, to me, like, if there's a swing trade setup that's really obvious, like, just really really have a strong bias on it, I'll be trading it with options. So other than that, I'm moving session to session. I wouldn't make a read on this gold, what it's going to do tomorrow. I'd rather make a read on it in the morning, right? That's kind of where I shine. Making a read on something, intra-session, kind of how it's gonna move at the open, and then if it's an active afternoon, levels I'll be targeting for the afternoon. But like, reading the daily and trying to predict what it's gonna do tomorrow before I really see the chart on an intra-session basis, which makes sense, right? That's why I only take 3 to 6 swing trades a year. Yeah, market closed at 4 and then opens back up at 6, and our show starts at 7. Stephen Brown asked a good question. What platform does the software work on? So here's the cool thing. So when you are a subscriber to Rocket Scooter, you get Rocket Scooter is a platform that is actually it's like its own version of TradingView. So you don't actually have to have TradingView to see it as you see it here. It comes with this version of trading, like this underlying framework of TradingView. Like it looks like TradingView, but it's really the Rocket Scooter platform, just using some of the coding libraries from TradingView. You know, it's licensed. And then in addition to that, it's also being released on, I don't know if it's called Go Charts or Go Charting, but it's being released on this other chat platform. And that's being worked on now. And after that, it will be released on Go Charting. Farina's in chat, she said Go Charting. And after that, also it's going to be released on as a overlay for NinjaTrader, which is one I could really am looking forward to, because I do my execution and my main work in NinjaTrader. So like right now I need to look at both and try to match up levels and stuff. It does, you know, I mean, I guess there's an advantage to it. It keeps things cleaner, but I would rather be a little toggle where I could toggle on and toggle off the Rocket Scooter levels, so I can, you know, quickly see where they're at, quickly hide them, and then have Rocket Scooter up as well. I'm really looking forward to that. I know Matt and the team are working on it. So hopefully a few months and we'll have that. Like for the way I use Rocket Scooter, that's going to be really extremely useful for me. And it'll be nice also. I think it'll be cool for talking through the charts, because I'll just be able to pop it up and be like, okay, here's a level overlaid. I could build an add-on when I have to type in all the stuff manually, but since I know Rocket Scooter's working on it already, I'm just gonna wait for now. Trade guy Nick, yeah, Farina answered that one right on point. If we knew if gold was going to go up in the next 4 hours, we'd be trading it. I am Liquidity. You know, interesting you say that. That if you had to pick out one thing you hate most about this market, it's the weight that Nvidia has on both indexes. You don't think any company should have that much pull over a nation's entire economic index? You know, I don't. You make a good point. It's kind of crazy how, like, the top 7, they really move. They have so much authority over the index. It's kind of crazy. It is. Yeah, I agree. But, you know, that's just, you know, that's just the way it is. I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing because it, you know, creates more volatility. I would say the market, in my opinion, it's never been more disconnected from reality than it is these days. It's just its own morphing thing, and that's why I don't read the news. You've heard me say it a lot, that I pay attention to the timing of a news event. I don't pay attention to the output of the news event, because, you know, it's too hard to read what people are going to think about news. And also there's cheaters in the game, so you don't know if they've already positioned themselves for information that's becoming public, that, you know, they've already positioned their trade or something. So yeah, we rally on war news and we dump during earnings reports. Crazy. But yeah, Steven, if you already have TradingView, you know, this is cool, because you can just, if you have Rocket Scooter, you can see the charts on this. You don't have to like log in with your TradingView through Rocket Scooter. 13 minutes to mock. Market on close. Thank you for being here, guys. Smash that like button. Smash the like button. I think I had one more question I wanted to ask everyone. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, as a question, Kennedy. So, see, Kennedy, I try not to, I wouldn't, like, if you were asking me, you know, what do I think about that? I would say I don't think about that. Like, whether war is good for markets or not. Like, I suffer from I get a little decision fatigue when I look too much into the news. I think I even, was it yesterday? Was yesterday Monday? Yeah. I talked about yesterday how the news was in my head because I knew what the news was. So I try not to think about what the news is what output the news is gonna have on the market. Because it affects my intra-session decision making in a bad way. Oh, here's an open-ended question. Here's an open-ended question for everyone here. What makes a session feel hard? I would love to hear from you all. What makes a session feel hard or difficult? You know, what makes a session feel difficult for you? For me, I can give my answer. I'll give my answer. Jacob said drawdown. Brad said chop. Metamorphi said sell-offs. So what, Metamorphi, you only trade long side? Is that it? John said 15-point wicks. Okay. John, I don't know if you were here earlier. I was talking about illiquidity. I am liquidity. Lack of direction and intra-day catalysts that change the structure and tone. DJ Green said chop. Drew cut. When every time you place an order, it never goes into profit. Optimus said not respecting key levels. Chop. Wow, these are some good. I gotta take a picture of these. These are good. Talk about these in detail in a session as well, but I am gonna get into these now. Chop around key pivots. These are good. Chopping sideways. So basically lack of direction for the most part. Lack of direction. Chopping. Pivots not respected. That's a good one. Both sides, but Metamorphi trades both sides, but you find it difficulty knowing where the sell-off ends. Though cumulative order flow is helping, looking for high lows on the turn. Lack of direction and wild swings make it a hard day, said Brad. So, you know, one of the ones that stood out to me was the person that said about 15-point wicks. Because the 15-point wicks, you know, the like mornings like today, and I had it on the agenda, right? You could see it. Let me just pop up the agenda. Why lack of liquidity makes it hard to manage risk, and also why clean levels always don't make an 8+ session. I misspelled session, sorry guys. But those two tie into basically all the answers you all just gave. Lack of direction, whippiness, and levels not getting respected. You know what helps create that indecisive direction? The crazy wicks and the levels not being respected. 3 words: lack of liquidity, right? Lack of liquidity. It really does come down to that. Like wicks are brutal. Like this morning at the open, very hard to manage risk. Really hard. Market was moving, no one was really there at the open. Yeah, lack of direction and wild swings make it a hard day. Jacob asking a question which I kind of, not a response, just a thought on. So you said, can they talk about why someone would buy a red candle and short a green candle and why it's important? I would think that would be an oversimplification of maybe someone's strategy or someone's entry style. I more trade around pivots that I expect to be responsive on the chart, and you know, whether someone waits for a candle in the opposite direction of their trade to enter, to me, that would just be maybe a nuance of their entry style. If they were trying to systematically build an entry style to reduce cognitive load and reduce the ability to have to think and read action at the point of entry, but more wait for some visual signal, some sort of visual setup of candles at their level, like you said, waiting for a specific, buying a red candle or shorting a green candle. To me, if someone's doing it, it's probably just them trying to systematize their entry execution so they don't have to think as much when price reaches their level. They have something else to wait for. It might encourage them to be patient, right? But I wouldn't build a whole strategy around something like that. Optimus works. Yeah, like the underlying reason that might work in some environments. Yeah, Optimus works. Put a good point out there. Maybe there's the delta is inverse to the direction of that candle. Meaning a candle might have closed in one direction, but the most volume and liquidity within that price region was actually at the other end. So the market might gravitate back towards where that liquidity is. Optimus works kind of like that thesis. You would find if that entry model is working on a specific day, what Optimus work said, that kind of makes sense. But that requires you to look at things on a very, very granular level. Boosted Dine asking about trend lines. I don't really mess with the trend line analysis. It's not really my vibe. I think that's too, not really my vibe. That kind of ties into what I was talking about last week. There's someone with a huge following who spews out some garbage information. Like, big followings doesn't mean good information, I found on trading stuff. Human P80, no, this is a trading around levels kind of style, not really candle patterns. David Weber, good question. 5 minutes to mock. David Weber, great question. I actually had a solution for this. David Weber asked a question, which is something I went through. Did I ever struggle with overtrading? Because David struggles to call it a day, maybe watching charts too much. I did suffer from that. There was two main reasons I would suffer from it. Number one, I suffered from overtrading when I was learning how to trade, because I was always watching the charts and I was itching to participate to try to build a history of what works and what doesn't work, right? So yes, I suffered from overtrading when I was first starting to learn how to trade because I wanted to trade a lot. I wanted to get experience. So that's number one. The second reason I suffered from overtrading, which extended further and is also something that, to me never fully went away, which is why I would usually set alerts at levels, is because when you're watching the charts, there's information that you need to process, right? There's load, there's processing power being used. When you set levels on a chart and then you wait for that level and you just set an alert and you're not looking at a chart, when the level goes off and you look at it, you may have a better analysis, right? Because you're going to it fresh. Your mind hasn't been constantly analyzing information. If you're constantly watching every tick, your brain is forced to make, like it or not, it makes assessments. It's processing the information. So if you struggle from overtrading, some people like to set a cap on their number of trades a day. Some people like to just set alerts at their levels and then not look at the chart until it gets there. Yeah. David, for me, like as far as the watching the charts go, always having charts open, still sometimes it would suck me in. Yesterday, I said I traded pre-market yesterday and got a little chopped up. you know, that wouldn't have happened if I had just mapped out my plan for pre-market, mapped out, you know, my thesis, and then kind of just walked away and come back a minute before the open. So, oh, David Weber. Oh, if you're not satisfied with making profit early, yeah, that can be tough. You know, like today, let's look. Let's see what time I was done. And of course, if there was a great sub this afternoon, I would have taken it. So it's not like I was like, oh, I'm done. It was just like, hey, I'm waiting for another good setup, and I didn't see one. Let me just open it up here. Curve late morning. Okay. So 10:21 a.m. right? You can see max run up from 9:39 till 10:21, right? And then I was like, okay, I'm waiting for the next setup, and something that I have big edge on hasn't popped up since. I mean, I've seen a couple of setups with what would have edge if it was more of a liquid and consistent session, but I don't think I've seen a setup with edge. Like, I've seen good levels pop up, and they have been responsive, but I wouldn't be able to hit them with conviction, because I know that liquidity is popping up, disappearing, popping up, disappearing. It's a very sporadic. There's been a lot of sporadic participation in this session, right? So I don't want to start participating where all of a sudden people go away and all of a sudden I get chopped out, right? And I'm not able to manage risk. So, you know, if you overcome not being satisfied with if you're profitable early in the session and then your edge goes away, be satisfied, you know, over the course of time. Not financial advice, but if I'm talking to myself, be satisfied. You'll do better over the long term. That's mock. Not getting a lot of whippage. Lord Keck said that used to be your biggest issue and you finished before 9:30 today. Look, there you go. Lord Keck had a good pre-market, said, all right, Dunsky. There you go. Lord Incognito. I don't know why I call myself the cucumber. Guys, smash the like button. Thank you for being here. The room showed up today. Suncode. The way I define liquid and illiquid is usually with the price and volume velocity meters that you see in the bottom right-hand corner, bottom left corner rather. Volume velocity and price velocity today are somewhat disconnected. If you come to this stream every day, you would notice that last week, for the most part, they were connected. If one was floating in that yellow region and all of a sudden went up, the other one would be in the yellow region and would go up. If one would all of a sudden drop down, the other would all of a sudden drop down. So what that means is when volume comes into the market, the price distance covered speeds up, right? The speed at which the market covers distance in price also happens faster. But right now, volume is really slow, but the market's still covering quite a lot of range with volume being low. So right now, liquidity is low. The market is moving in this area. There's not a lot of participants in this area, right? There's not a lot of participants. What you probably have right now is a lot of retail getting chopped up, right? Because it's hard to read direction from here. You know, probably down, but because it's illiquid, it's easy for the market to move around here without an actual authority behind the move. Funded next. What's the discount? Let me check. Use code Rocket Scooter if you want to reduce your risk on any prop accounts. Let me see. Let me see what the deals are right now. Okay. Funded next Funded Next right now, the bolts are on sale for $99. So use the code Rocket Scooter. Take Profit Trader 40% off with code Rocket Scooter. Phidias. Oh, wait, Lucid's 50% off right now with code Rocket Scooter. Nice. Yeah, Tradeify 30% off. ETF 77% off non-fast track. Futures Desk 60 to 75% off. Phidias 50 to 80% off. And then Lucid 50% off. Nice. Yeah, lower the risk by lowering the cost. A lot of good participation from chat today. You guys had so many interesting questions. I love it. Correlation is critical, sun code on the velocity. Yeah, totally. You've been coding something related thanks to me. Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's simple but powerful, right? It's simple but powerful. Boosted Dime. That's the OG right there. Boosted Dime. He's always in chat. Yeah, Suncode. If you're mostly follow... Adventure Rick said the room shows up. Please like and subscribe. Boosted Dime. The family's in the house. Suncode. Yeah, if you're mostly just focused on volume, I guess you could just look at the volume bars at the bottom. It's more the relationship between the movement of price and the movement of volume that I pay attention to. The connection. Right? The code and the indicators, I'm pretty sure. I haven't opened up the code in a long time, but it's I don't think it's complicated. I don't remember it taking me long to code. Max Trading should have more giveaways tomorrow, yeah. Suncode, thanks for being here. Everyone, thanks for being here. Good vibe today. Kind of a slow afternoon, but you guys had great questions. Somebody B71, you're usually done before 10 a.m. Nice. Yeah, a lot of people talking about chop. What makes the session difficult for them? Chop. I don't know. I don't know if I would describe today as choppy. I mean, definitely not trending, but I mean, the levels actually held pretty well. It was just hard to manage risk around them. I mean, I guess they had good, clean interactions. Just wasn't confident managing risk around them. $35 point. Yeah. A lot of overshoot. Lack of liquidity causes, lack of responsiveness at the levels. Yep, tomorrow, yeah, Max Trading. Tomorrow every day there's 3 streams. Morning stream starts at 8:30 Eastern. Then this stream starts at 1:30 Eastern, and then Darb stream starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. So there's giveaways throughout the day. Somebody B71 asked if I trade Asia session. There isn't enough volume for you during that for your particular strategy, but you want to know if there's edge in the Asia session. I find edge in the Asia session, but I don't trade it that frequently. I don't trade it that frequently. Adventure egg, be good cop. THX said, one man's chop is another man's range. For sure. For sure. It's Burn Trades. What up? Bad cop. Brad Petty said, be bad cop. Low wickage on Apple? Is that what you're talking about? I am liquidity? Low volume spike? I don't even keep the lower volume on my chart. Gives me too much to look at. Max trading tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Giveaways, more giveaways tomorrow. And there should be a giveaway tonight as well. I think Darb will probably give away a boot camp or something. Wonder who all was patient and who all got chopped out in that range this afternoon. Literally, look, we were in the same tight range the entire afternoon. Crazy. All right, that's a close, fam. That's a close. Don't forget, it's time for some snackage for me. I'm going to be peacing out. Don't forget, tune into the morning show tomorrow for Matt, 8:30 Eastern. He's doing a 100K to $1 million challenge. Tune into this show tomorrow afternoon. And tonight, tune in to Sir Darb, aka Brad, aka Sir Darb, for the Asia session. He's going live at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for being here. The room showed up once again. It's good to be here, fam. Thank you so much for being here. The room showed up. I'm out for the night. Take it easy. Peace.
Screens closed.